Welcome to Grumpy Vegan Grandad, and I've become a right bastard. So, day 10 of isolation, and it's getting a little bit frustrating now, but we're coping. I've got my imagination, I've got you guys, so it's all good. And I've been evolving over these, I'd say about a month, and more so over this last week or so, because I've evolved in my activism, in my outlook at activism. I've been watching Paul Bashir on YouTube. I'll put links down below for you to have a look too. And he's the founder of AV, Anonymous for the Voiceless. And I've also been watching more of Joey's new videos. And of course, Gary Yourofsky made a recent video about the coronavirus. And it's got me thinking and got me... It's got me thinking about the best approach. Now, I was always in the view that you could use different approaches with different people, and that still stands. However, the common denominator now that's changed with me is a more honest, truthful, no-nonsense approach. But it's also changed my view on other things. I mean, for instance, I'm one of the admins on a local vegetarian and vegan group. And that's one of the things I've been contemplating, is vegetarianism. So I put a poll out on the page, and it was basically asking, should we change the name of the page to Oldham Vegans, not Oldham Vegetarian and Vegans? And the response was overwhelmingly, no, we shouldn't. So then I said, okay, the name won't change, and I put out another post to get discussion going. And my view was this, that vegetarianism should not be linked with veganism. Veganism is a philosophy. Vegetarianism is a diet. And the response I got was very mixed, very, very mixed. One member basically wrote, I'm reading this now actually, she said, you make me feel like shit when life is already difficult. Another preachy group, I'm out. And all I'd said was that the information is readily available out there. That you can Google slaughterhouse footage, you can Google animal abuse. There's more and more products out there for vegans. It's not a major issue to go and find vegan food. Anybody can find it now. It's clearly labelled. There's no problem with being full vegan. So therefore, why would you stick to vegetarianism? Because vegetarianism is still participating in some of the worst abuses. The dairy, the eggs. They're prolonged abuse. At the very least, the beef industry is some of the beef industry, because a lot of dairy cows do end up in the beef chain, but specifically beef and pork, some of the pork is just like bang, you know, you fattened up and then you killed. But dairy and eggs is prolonged suffering for the animal. So you're still participating in that as being a vegetarian. Now, some of the group said that, well, they're transitioning. It's a transition. And this is where I'm starting to change my attitude towards this transitioning. All right, fair enough. 5 years ago, I did transition. I went from juicing to pescatarian to vegan. But I hadn't researched animal abuse at that point. At that point, I was chasing a health issue. Well, I didn't have any issues, but I was researching how to live a better, fuller, healthier life. And that led me down the path of slowly giving up this, slowly giving up that. But my problem with putting veganism and vegetarianism in the same title of a group who are supposedly after the same goal, to me is wrong. Because it gives vegetarians a false sense of security that they're doing something for the animals when they're not. And this leads on to watching Paul Bashir and Joey and Earthling Ed and Gary Yourofsky, is that once you've seen animal abuse, once you're aware of what's going on with these animals in the dairy, the egg, the fish, the beef, the pork industries, once you've seen that, you're either against it or you're for it. There can't be any middle ground. And like I just said, there's plenty of products out there. It is not hard now to go vegan. It is not an issue. It's not something, if you're against animal abuse, you can stop now. You can stop now. That's it. You don't have to transition. The only transitional effects are if, like me, you've got a leather sofa, you've got a car with leather in it. There's some stuff you can't avoid. There's some stuff that you've already got that you're not going to bin. You don't have to bin. Veganism doesn't expect you to like bin all your worldly goods just because you bought them pre-vegan. That's not the way it works. So it's not hard to do. So in my head, I'm thinking that vegetarians are sitting back and believing that they are doing the right thing when they're not. They know better than meat eaters because they're still contributing towards animal abuse. So I think we should call them out, not pander to them. We should call them out and say, look, you're still doing this. This group, this Facebook group, is a support group. So you've got a few hundred vegans on there who are quite happy to help. If there's any problems like, where do I get this, where do I get that, what do I do here? They're there. There's no reason to stay vegetarian. Now, this girl who said that I made her feel like shit and we were a preachy group, was that my fault? Or was it her problem because she was called out? Would this girl have stayed vegetarian, or will she stay vegetarian until she gets called out? She was quite happy being sat there vegetarian. Now, others on the group who were also vegan were saying, they were saying to her, oh, it's, don't leave the group and all this stuff. And Danny, you should allow people to transition. And like I said before, well, why? You're either for it or against it. You know, they say it's not an easy thing to... It is an easy thing to do now. So, there was a big discussion on this. So I'm dropping out of the admin role because I've got things to say and I don't want to upset this group. But however, I think they should adopt this philosophy that we should call people out. Because another point I got across was we need to be honest. We're talking to adults and we need to be honest. Why are we trying to be nice about it when it's not actually nice what's happening to the animals? You know, while the vegetarians are sitting there trying out vegetarianism, there's abuse going on in the dairy. There's murder, there's kidnap, there's rape. There's abuse and murder going on in the egg industry. Macerating day-old chicks. All this is going on while this person's deciding whether they can be arsed going out and just go and look at some vegan food instead of veg. It's not that hard. Dairy and cheese, fucking hell, there's over 50 odd different milks. There's amazing cheeses out there. There's loads of recipes on Google for egg replacement. It's not a big leap. It's not a big leap. And this is the issue I have. And the way I've evolved now is we can't not be honest with people. You've got to call them out. Of course it's going to make them feel uncomfortable. I mean, look at this, right? One of the best examples of this, and it wasn't even on a vegan topic, right? It was back in the 80s. And some of you may remember Bob Geldof. Yeah? I mean, originally, there was a mass famine in the 80s. Millions of Ethiopians and children were dying of starvation. They had a mass drought and everything. And some of the ads were like this. Children are dying in Ethiopia right now. Please send us £1 a month so we can supply water and feed these millions of starving people. Send your money now. And then you've got Bob Geldof doing this.
Government who've just given us £1 million, so thank you to the Dubai government and the Al Maktoum family. The other thing is that Mick and David did that video specifically so that you could give something, and it's not happening enough. You know, you've got to get on the phone and take the money out of your pocket. Don't go to the pub tonight, please. Stay in and give us the money. There are people dying now, so give me the money. And here's the numbers.
Let's go through the way. I think we're probably going to get the address first, aren't we?
No, let's fuck the address. Let's get the numbers.
Which was the most powerful? Which got people putting their hands in their pockets? Because if you're honest and truthful and to the point, that works, that wins. These people, Paul Bashir, Gary Yourofsky, Joey Carbstrong, James Aspey, Earthly Ned, they're all to the point. They don't treat adults like children. They talk to them straight. They give them the facts. They don't let them off the hook. They call them out. I've got really itchy nose.
Having the meat industry as not having the coal mines here in Australia, because people will not have jobs, they will not have money.
I don't care about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you care about the people who are that have jobs enslaving human beings to pick their cotton? No, we don't. We care about the people that are being enslaved. In the same way, I don't care about those who are enslaving and torturing the animals. I care about the animals that are being tortured.
Yeah, I think we have just different philosophy.
No, we do. You're against animal abuse. Do you care about the animal abuser or the animal being abused?
Yeah, but I also think that they're a bit too much pushing.
How do you care about child abuse? The same way? Do you care about the child abuser or the child that's being abused?
Well, it depends what we're talking about. Abortion?
No, I'm talking about child abuse. Do you care about the child or the person that's abusing that child? Which do you care about more, the victim or the oppressor?
Well, of course, the victim.
Okay, well, I care more about the victim than I do about people's jobs.
Okay.
That's like spitting in the face of the victim. A bit of money to torture an animal,
Yeah,
they can get another job.
obviously.
Yeah.
Like anyone else, you could get another job.
Yeah, I don't abuse animals. I stop the abuse of animals.
Yeah, I'm trying as well, as much as I can.
We don't try, we just don't. That's it, because you're against it. So you live in alignment with you're a good-hearted, compassionate person. So you live in alignment with that. You don't sometimes abuse animals if you're against animal abuse.
Fair enough.
When you leave here today, you're not going to pay for animals to be abused, or you might still.
Perhaps, I can't promise you anything.
Okay. Thanks for being honest with me. I hope you appreciate the way that I was honest with you as well.
I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. Do you think I've got a good chance in getting people to stop this?
Yeah, definitely, or at least limit. Maybe not stop, but limit. And I think that's already a big step.
And I just wouldn't lie to someone and say, hey, it's okay sometimes. I wouldn't lie to someone like that.
Yeah, of course, you cannot say that, but I still would speak and would say that it's better to limit than not do anything.
I could say the same thing about beating my wife. It's better for me to limit it than
You're beating your wife.
I could say the same thing. It's a hypothetical. I don't beat my wife, of course. I'm against.
Are you?
I'm saying, if someone were to say to you,
Yeah.
I should beat my wife less
Yeah.
or not beat them at all.
Yeah.
What would you say?
If you would do anything to that, then
Yeah.
she should leave you straight away.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So if you beat her even once, she should leave you.
Of course.
And you should be arrested and go to prison. Yeah?
They call them out. They don't let them off the hook. It always goes back to the animal abuse. I mean, if we were talking, I mean, you see on the video, this lady says like she's reducing, and it's the same scenario with people transitioning. They're going to cut down. Now, I had this view, and a lot of people still do have this view. Yes, it's a step in the right direction. But if we were talking about child abuse, yeah, let's say somebody beats the child or beats the wife, and you talk to them and say, look, you're wrong beating your child, you're wrong beating your wife. Well, okay, yeah, you're right. So what I'll do is I will reduce the amount of time that I beat them. I'll just beat them Thursday to Saturday. The rest of the time I won't beat them. Would you go, oh yeah, well done. Yes, that's perfect. Transition, yeah, do it slowly. Of course you wouldn't. And this is like when they say we take the blinkers off. When we become aware and decide to become vegan. But again, while we are vegan, this is what causes a lot of problems within the vegan community is we take them off to about there. They're not fully off. And there's some things we sort of put up with because of social pressures. We're scared of upsetting people. We're scared of people's reaction, and we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be scared of people's reactions, because of course they're going to kick back. Of course they're going to get offended because you're calling them out on something they've done all their life. But this works. These people, these activists, the biggest activists in the world, have turned more people vegan than any other way of doing it, any other way. Just by being honest, straight to the point, and not letting them cop out, get away with it, turn it around. Do you see where I'm coming from? So, people transitioning, we shouldn't be saying to them, yes, well done, for doing less harm. We should be saying to them, no, don't be harming less, just stop. You know what's happening now. You know that this is going on right now. Stop. We're not talking a few, 75 billion land animals are slaughtered every year. Every year. So many million a minute. So while you're umming and ahhing and thinking, oh, I'll just have a bit of milk in my brew, I'll have a bit of cheese, I'll have a few eggs for a while. There's millions and millions of animals suffering while you're thinking about that. Yeah, so it's definitely something to think about. It's definitely something to ponder as vegans. I mean, if you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, put your comments down below and tell me what you think. I mean, recently, in this lockdown, we had a little chat with a few people on a chat group, and we decided to try a virtual vigil. Because vigils are powerful. Vigils are good, a really good activism. Next to AV. Vigils are good because putting that footage out there and showing people what happens before that neat little package in the supermarket, that is powerful as well. And when people come to those vigils and become face to face with those animals, it has an amazing effect. And that's not an easy thing to do, to come to a vigil. So vegetarians might come to a vigil, and once they do, I can guarantee they're going vegan. Because now there's no barrier between them. They're called out, it's there in front of them. The victims are there in front of them. So they can't be part of it. But we decided to do, because of the lockdown, we decided to do a virtual vigil. And it was a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction. We just started chatting and said, yeah, let's do this. And a few of us got open. We said on Sunday, yesterday, we'll post images of previous vigils and vigil images and videos every 2 hours from midday yesterday till midnight. And a few of us participated, but it wasn't a massive success. However, we tried something. We tried it. And this is what you guys need to do, is just think of ways to push it. I mean, I talked to some guys and they were saying to me, well, with this pandemic going on and people dying of this virus, maybe it's not a good thing to do. But why? Again, back to the child abuse. If children were being abused and you were trying to stop that child abuse, would you say, hold on a minute, there's people dying of this virus, forget the child abuse, this is going on? No, we wouldn't. So why use that attitude to animal rights? Why? Anyway, that's my video for today. But I've got one more treat for you, so stay and watch this because you'll love this. If you haven't seen it before, right, it's amazing. And I think during the lockdown, we should all do this. It's a university campus in Sweden, and they do something called the Flogster Scream. Yeah? And they all get the frustrations out doing this at 10 o'clock every night. Wait till you see this, you'll love it. Watch the video through. It's amazing.
It's almost 10 p.m. This is what happens when one person starts screaming at night. Wow, this is a long one. Can't believe it.
So that's it from me. Save the animals, save the planet, save yourself. Go vegan. Grumpy Vegan Grandad.